Top 10 biggest downfalls in football history. There is a reason why you love the beautiful game of football. It might be the crazy goals, the intricate tactics, or even the superstar players. Sure, to you, football is the best thing in the world, but for some young and gifted players in the game, it is better than ice cream. The sad part about these players giving their lives to the game is that one moment they could be hotter than lava, and the next they would be completely forgotten. So who are some of these players that have faced the crazy drop from grace to grass? Let us know who you think these players are in the comments below. Welcome back to where you are supposed to be. We are FootyFanatics, the home for football fans all over the world. And today, we have another special video for you. Right now, I am sure you can easily think of a player who failed to live up to his highest potential. That is why we at FootyFanatics have compiled a list of 10 players who had the biggest downfalls in football history. Before we get to the juicy part, show us your support by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. This way, you get all the hottest videos as soon as they drop. Without further ado, let's talk about our first entry. Number 10. James Rodriguez. You might have already guessed this one when you saw the title of the video. It's true that Rodriguez was one of the most talented players on the planet in 2014. If you take a look at the trajectory of his career since that time, you get to witness two very harsh football realities. The first of these is that being an elite pro athlete is not for the faint-hearted. There are enormous physical and emotional demands. Even if a player manages to break into the spotlight, it is very difficult to remain there. Only a few of us here can relate to that feeling when you finally get to something you have dreamed of your whole life before having it cut off from you forever. For Rodriguez, this dream only lasted 1 year. First lit up the stage at the 2014 World Cup while playing for Colombia. James was the hero of the tournament. He finished as the top scorer of the tournament with 6 goals in 5 games, taking Colombia as far as the quarterfinals. This was the best they had ever done in any World Cup. At just 22 years old, he scored the best goal of not only the World Cup, but the best goal scored by any other person that year. The next season, he secured a move to Real Madrid, but he would never be able to reclaim the spark he had during the World Cup. He fell out of favor with Zinedine Zidane and then began to experience injury crisis. 9 years later, he is nowhere to be found. It's a shame that he might never have him show this amazing form he displayed on the biggest stage in the world. Number 9. Sadio Mane. The Senegalese forward has gone from being ranked for the Ballon d'Or to the Saudi Pro League. No disrespect to Saudi, of course, but let's be real. It was only in 2022 that he was second at the Ballon d'Or Awards, but just a year later, Mane found himself leaving Bayern for Saudi Arabia's Al Nassr. Sadio Mane has gone from the Ballon d'Or Gala to the Saudi Pro League. Not a year has passed since Mane came second at the 2022 Ballon d'Or Awards. Only Karim Benzema was better than the forward that year. Months after Mane's achievement, the Senegalese player left Bayern Munich for Saudi Arabia. He claimed that he wanted a new challenge at Liverpool, but the truth might be that deep down, he knows he lost what it takes to make it at the big leagues. His slump began after getting to Bayern, and 1 season later, it is clear to everyone that his downfall has been cemented. Mane won everything in Liverpool. He scored goals, he decided games, and he was an opponent to be feared. While this was fun, all good things come to an end. This has really been a tough year for him. The next player on our list has had more than tough years, though. You might say he has even had a tough career. Number 8. Oscar. In the summer of 2012, two playmaking midfielders joined Chelsea just after they had won their first Champions League title. The two of them were obviously gifted, but one of them only stayed a few weeks before being shipped off to Germany on a loan deal. The other, who was a younger player, seemed to be heading towards greatness. He instantly entered the starting lineup. The first player is no other than the player who is by some estimates the best in the Premier League, Kevin De Bruyne. The second player took a different path, and so far it is as though he belongs to a different era of football. Everybody has long since forgotten about Oscar and his elegant playmaking. Even though his choice to move to the Chinese Super League was highly controversial, you can't really blame the guy for wanting a secure financial life for his family. It is still sad, even disappointing, that we did not get to see a player of his caliber compete for top trophies in Europe. There's no reason to judge him for his choice. He's played well in China, but that is nothing compared to what we could have achieved in Europe. Our next player achieved quite a bit in Europe, but his glory was cut short right before his time. Number 7. Philippe Coutinho. This former Liverpool star is a long way from where he came. Ever since he made it into the gifted youngsters conversation, he has seen himself go on a steady decline from the third most expensive player in history to someone who is barely remembered at all. He has become an afterthought. Of all the things a football player could be, being a forgotten glory is the worst. What on earth happened to him? The beginning of the end was when Coutinho arrived at Barcelona in 2018. This came after Neymar surprised the whole world with a move to PSG. Barca did not even hide the fact that they wanted Coutinho to replace both Neymar and Andreas Iniesta, who was rumored to be leaving the club very soon. He ultimately disappointed every single one of their expectations. What seemed like a dream move for him quickly became a nightmare. He ended up being in Messi's way, and this was a huge blow to the team's rhythm. Even when he went to Bayern Munich, the story became much sadder. At some point, his entire gameplay was reduced to long-range attempts at goal. Everyone soon started calling him Coutinho, which is fitting a name for him, I can't lie. Number 6, Dele Alli. When it comes to injuries, one of the most unlucky players in this world is Neymar Jr. But don't worry, we will get to him later. Right now, we have to talk about Dele Alli, the second most unlucky player ever. His unfortunate streak with injuries has dealt a major blow to his career. The 28-year-old midfielder is a far cry from the Tottenham days. Back then, he won back-to-back PFA Young Player of the Year awards, with multiple appearances in the Premier League Team of the Year. He was considered as one of the brightest prospects in the world during his first days at Spurs, but it seems he ended up getting in his own way. He was unable to sustain his powers for very long, which made him end up in Besiktas. As if that wasn't enough, he was rolled out for most of last season due to a hip muscle injury. This was just another setback in the long history of his decline. While his story is quite sad, the next player on our list has it much worse. If you're enjoying this video so far, give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more football updates. Number 5, Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is a typical case of an extraordinary talent being wasted at Manchester United. He was an insanely gifted young midfielder who had a box of skills that set him up to be a world dominator. It's easy to forget just how explosive he was at Juventus, first serving under Antonio Conte and then Allegri. Whether it was in 4-3-1-2 or 3-5-1 formation, he always brought his best game forward. The left of a midfield three was where he was born to rule. Playing beside the likes of Andrea Pirlo, Arturo Vidal, and Patrice Evra, he had a certain freedom with the ball that made him lethal. He could combine his physicality and technicality to produce some seriously entertaining football. His skills were so off the charts that Manchester United had to break their bank and the world transfer record just to sign him at the ripe age of 23. He came into the club with 4 Serie A titles and a chip on his shoulder, yet he could not seem to live up to the enormous expectations placed on him. Nothing seems to be going right for this player. Even after going back to Juventus, he was unable to tap into his previous glory. There is something tragic about seeing him struggle with knee injuries that basically mean an end to his career. This same pattern of a fall from grace is immediately obvious when it comes to the next player on our list. Can you guess who it is? Number 4, Mario Balotelli. Anyone who has been watching football for long enough can remember when Mario Balotelli was the hottest striker on the planet. Okay, maybe he wasn't Haaland levels, but he was pretty darn close. The Italian Superman scored 2 goals in the 2012 Euro semi-finals that set him on a trajectory to becoming the next big thing in football. Fortunately for him, things didn't exactly turn out as they were supposed to. To be fair, he has only himself to blame for that. His bright future began to dim out at a speed that even the great coach Mancini could not have predicted. A terrible start to the 2012-2013 season for Man City made them so frustrated that they shipped him off to AC Milan. He continued his pattern of troublesome behavior there. Once he got caught smoking in the toilet of a train, another time he got a 3-match ban for arguing with the officials, and then later he got involved in fights with pundits. Sooner or later, AC Milan had had enough. They shipped him off to Liverpool for $18 million. From there, his career became non-existent. He only managed to score 4 goals in 28 appearances, making him the worst Premier League signing of that season. That one is a no-brainer, isn't it? Number 2, Neymar Jr. Of all the great players who are currently declining, Neymar's decline has to be the sharpest. This is mainly due to his jaw-dropping injury record at PSG. Ever since he made a move to the French capital, the Brazilian has missed over 100 games due to injury. PSG was apparently paying him millions just to sit at the stands and watch the games. In over 5 seasons, he never once played more than 20 out of PSG's 38 league games. His numbers have also not been so impressive. The most embarrassing of these would be from the 2021-22 season, where he was only able to record 5 goals and 5 assists in all competitions. It is a shame that one of the best players of all time has allowed his fame to die out. He's still 31. Even after so many years, he still holds the record for the most expensive transfer in football history. A player of this caliber should have been able to land any big team in Europe. I suspect you already know why. Number 1. Eden Hazard. Our number 1 spot has to be the legendary Eden Hazard. After a failed move to heads at what went wrong? Was it the injuries? Was it the new stars like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo that challenged his place in the lineup? Maybe it was everything. In fact, maybe it was that his fearless style of play was beginning to take its toll on his body. Hazard wanted to become a legend at Real Madrid, but his body had other plans. When he arrived in Spain, he was mocked for being overweight, but that was not the real problem. The real problem was that he was picking up injuries at a scary rate. Looking back at his Chelsea career, he managed to carry the team through 2 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, and even 2 Europa League titles. At Real Madrid, however, it was a different story. He only managed to score about 1 goal in 10 games, which was kind of sad. Looking beyond stats, it is still obvious to the naked eye that this player has lost his ability to float past defenders like a dancer. He was once touted to be the second Lionel Messi, but now it would be a consolation for him to even make it to the starting lineup. Well, there we have it. If you enjoyed our list, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. There are a lot of other players who had careers that tanked, so if you think we missed out on anyone, let us know in the comments. See you next time.